Hello, everyone. To those just tuning in, welcome. To those who've been checking out sessions throughout the day, welcome back. We hope you're enjoying the content and looking forward to more awesome presentations coming up. A big thank you to our partners and speakers for helping us deliver a fantastic program. A quick reminder to join our Slack channel to interact with other attendees and join selected speakers for Q&A. You can find the link in the menu at the top of this page. Happy viewing.
Hi everyone, I'm Joe Darkins. I'm the, when this starts working, there we go. I'm the head of product at JLL, living for EMEA. So I am responsible for a lot of our land deals that we do, so large development land deals, consultancy, sales, advisory in our capital markets. So JLL is one of the Fortune 500 companies. I started my career as a developer, I've worked in product, I've been tech director, CTO, head of product, and now I'm the head of digital as well, which also encompasses product. I've pivoted my job title recently, and I'll touch on that shortly. So I've held leadership positions at startups and large corporates, and I've recently moved into prop tech, simply because it's such a fascinating space. So almost my entire career has been fintech, and now I'm moving into prop tech. So in terms of the land consultancy sales, that's very much from a product perspective. So I certainly don't do the land deals myself, but I'm coming in from a product and tech to help support these teams that typically haven't had product or tech previously. Some of them have got absolutely nothing. So they're still email and spreadsheets. So who's this presentation for? I won't touch on all those points. Really, it's for anyone who wants to understand how to build product teams. I'm going into this new role, as I have in previous roles, to build out the product function. So there's nothing really there before. Company really hasn't got an idea of what product is. Certainly some areas do, but the department that I've gone into hasn't. So it's really building out that foundation and letting them understand the benefits of product. So your challenge is to build a product team, right? The big question is what's next, especially when you're coming in from a leadership perspective. Somebody turns around to you and they brought you in and just said, right, I want you to build a product team. What's next? So define your vision, hire some kick-ass product managers, set your KPIs, OKRs, customers growth, win, right? Done. That's it, guys. We're happy, the end, right? That's the easy way that people want to tell you. And you read some books, they're going to tell you that's typically the way things go. But it's complex. Product's really hard, right? Companies are really complex. And products also don't exist within, a product doesn't exist within a vacuum within an organization as well, right? We need to interface with different people. And we need to interface with different organizations, not just marketing, not just sales, not just IT, but there's a whole host of different people that you need to work with. And digital maturity is still a thing, right? I think if you're going into areas where they don't have product, don't expect them to be Google or Facebook or tech firms, right? And the majority of firms in the world are like this today, right? There's your high-tech world where product sits, which is absolutely lovely. But as you're trying to bring a lot of these other industries through, it's a very difficult migration for some of these organizations. And we've got to be part of that if you're going to lead that change. So let's try again, right? Your challenge is to build a kick-ass product team. I want to have a raise of hands here. Now, I've thought of 3 analogies. So I'll give you a couple of seconds to think about this. Is building a product team like climbing a mountain, cooking Christmas dinner, or navigating a maze? Now, who here thinks building product teams like climbing a mountain? Out of the 3, you got to raise your hands. No one? Cooking Christmas dinner? Navigating a maze? Okay. If I had to say any of them, I'd definitely say cooking Christmas dinner over the rest. But you're all right in essence because you need a bit of everything in order to be able to do it. I'd say that climbing a mountain feels like one single goal, that you're just navigating there and that's it. That's definitely not what you're wanting to do. Navigating a maze, you have to deal with uncertainty, absolutely. Christmas dinner, you've got this melting pot of different things that you need to deal with all at once, right? Everything's got different timers, things are cooked in different ways. But at the end of the day, you've got this one product that you're trying to bring out. And it's exactly the same with building products as building product teams. You've got to kind of manage lots of different things and spin lots of plates in order to be able to deliver a new product team. So what do you need to understand about the business before you build a product team? Now, rather than just going out there and hiring, because it'd be very easy for me to open the checkbook and just say, right, I'm just going to bring in a load of product managers. I can tell you right now that some of them will be very bored because there might not be enough products. And also some of the support functions that we need might not be mature enough in order to be able to support the functions, or they might not have products in the first place, right? So really we've got to understand how the business works. So the thing that we need to understand is what's the maturity of the product within the business. Now, I've got a big question mark on the left-hand side because it might be zero. They might have no idea what product is. Now, I've literally walked into a meeting before and somebody said, you're the guy who's going to give me a new laptop, right? I'm like, no, I'm definitely not the guy who's going to give you a new laptop. I'm definitely the guy who's going to build some products and build you growth, right? And then on the other side, you've got, your Spotify's, your Google's, your Facebook. They know exactly what product is. You talk to somebody about product manager, they're like, yep, that's exactly what they do. That's their role. There's their description. You can go on training courses. We've got documentation. It's all absolutely amazing. So what's the characteristics of product maturity? Now, I've written this table up, but basically this kind of identifies some of the challenges that you've got. So product what? I'm literally doing like product what? That's the first level of maturity. They've got no idea. Your challenge here, right, is to teach people what product is within an imperfect structure while building a team. This is a company that doesn't even know what product is. The leadership might not have a clear vision. They've hired somebody in because they thought, we want to be a tech firm, we're going to hire some product people, right? Without thinking about the larger picture. I can tell you now, this is a big challenge, right? And you might never pass this challenge. You might just get to the stage where you walk in, you've done all your sales and everything, and they just go, yeah, that's not for us, thank you very much, goodbye, right? Because you need that leadership buy-in. The second phase is the product aspiration, and this one is where the leadership want to move to product. They kind of get it. They need somebody to help you through that journey. This one's a nicer one, and this one's actually a really good growth one for people who have moved from a very well-defined product role. If they want to supercharge their career a little bit and learn more about the leadership side of things, is going back into one of these businesses, because you have to put in the processes. You have to start understanding what the problems of the organization are in order to be able to navigate that whole business to be more product focused. And there's a lot of additional skills you're going to have to bring in order to make that happen. I'd say the department where I sit at the moment is kind of a bit of both. Some areas don't know what product is, but really the leadership also want to buy into where product's going, which is why I've joined the organization. I like challenges, it's why I've gone to PropTech. And then the last one is product driven. And your challenge really in a product driven company is to just help the pre-existing products that are already there. You're going to get stuck into your KPIs, your OKRs, you're going to hit growth, and you're going to look at the customers. So what about cultural maturity? Now, this is really important when you're building a product team as well. Really, really important. So in order to be able to build a really successful product team, you need trust, openness, fail fast, empowerment, customer focus, all the good stuff that we talk about in books and that are really, really useful and that we rely on as product managers. If you don't have that and you are on the far left-hand side of this spectrum, I would advise you against going into that organization to try and build a product team. Because some of those things are so intrinsic to the business that unless you're bought in a equity perspective, unless you've got some skin in the game, you're going to find it very hard pivoting the culture of the organization as well as the product, right? And you might be fighting a battle that the rest of them don't want you to fight, okay? But I'm going to stay on the positive side because product's all about kind of like adding value, adding growth, like being positive and moving things forward. So let's just stay on the other side. Right? Very few companies are massively, massively toxic, and a lot of them just want to make money and grow. So we're going to stick with the positive side of things. And then the last thing that we want to understand about the company is the digital maturity of the company as well. Now, this is why I say digital maturity is still a thing, because again, you'll find if you're going outside of the high-tech industry to start migrating some of these businesses over and building out new product functions, they might not have tech platforms to build anything on. You can walk in there and they'll say, yeah, we just use email and Excel. And you're like, right, okay, fine. I can't really build any software platforms. We don't have any developers. Okay, great. Well, I'll hire an agency, but there's no data. So you're really building things from the ground up. So what's the digital maturity, and how long do you want to be there in terms of like making them a bigger organization? How quickly can you pivot and move that as an organization? So that's also going to determine how you're going to build out your product team. Because what you don't want to do is hire some really sales and marketing focused product managers when they literally haven't got anything to sell or market. Right? You might have to move that spectrum slightly over and start thinking about hiring some more technical product managers to start with, to kick you off on this digital maturity, so that then you can then migrate over into the more sales and marketing product managers at a later time. So really look at that in terms of the way that you would approach, look at the business in terms of the way that you'd be building that product team. So I've added some things here. The tech foundation first. You know, what technology and skills do you have available within the organization to leverage as well? And you might have to hack a bit to start. There's other things that you can add in here as well. Can you use any sort of integrations, pre-existing platforms, Google spreadsheets, anything that you can use to try and start building and iterating that technical platform as soon as possible? Start using it, absolutely. If this, then that, for example, to start linking some of the current organizational processes together while you start gaining that momentum. All's key within these large organizations or small startups. So questions and considerations that you want to be asking the business as well. Is what is product, and looking at it within the maturity spectrum. I've covered it before. No idea I product big time, guys. Like, I know all about this stuff. And who does product now is a really interesting question, because you might find that it's IT, marketing, sales. Lots of other people have got other bits of product. Now, I never go into an organization and put up barriers and say, yeah, but this is my role, not yours, right? Ultimately, we want to get to a product team where everyone kind of owns product and everyone's adding to it. Product manager should be the one driving this together and bringing things together, but everyone in the organization needs to be here. There's no kind of hard boundaries where you start drawing things up and saying, you can't do this, you can't do that. We should be adding value, and that value drives things forward, right? When you show people that data-driven decisions are best, that's what's going to really help you galvanize the rest of the organization. And what products do they sell? So in terms of this, is it advice? So for example, our land team, they do large, multi-year land transactions. It's very difficult for me to come in and start building some immediate products for these guys, right? Some of the things I'll be looking at building will be data products and some land information products to help advise clients on the best products, on the best land to purchase. But this is going to take me a long time to build. We also have an estate agency business where we sell high value new build apartments online and through portals. That's dead easy. B2C, you can get stuck into that straight away, data driven, and we can really add some value. So understand the products that you're going to sell as well and get really behind that. So questions and considerations for yourself: who to hire, and selling the product role and initial priorities. So again, based on that maturity spectrum, who to hire. If you're really early in the maturity spectrum, you're going to have to hire really flexible people. And these are people who want to kind of come along on a journey, and they want to are happy spinning lots of different plates, because you might not give them a product on day one, but you basically give them an opportunity to say, look, here's a bunch of different departments, here's a load of people, right? Here's the goal that we need to do, and here's the vision that we need to drive. We need to be data-driven. We need to be close to the customer. We need to understand the customer journey, and we need to be defining that strategy. So you want to be hiring flexible people that can really work with that sort of challenge, as opposed to later on with your Google, etc. You've got a very targeted view about what product is. They'll have their data teams, they'll have their information, they'll have their KPIs, they know how to measure their success. Selling product roles, at the start again, you're going to be looking at getting some quick wins and really selling that open to the business. They might not know what product is. If I go in and say, hey guys, in 2 years' time, you'll see this awesome platform that we're going to build once we've mapped everything out. A lot of them are I'm paying this guy right now, what's he doing? Getting some quick wins over the line is really, really useful. You might have to break product process a little bit, and you might have to deliver a few things quicker than you'd like to. But actually, what you'll also find is a lot of them have got a lot of low-hanging fruit. And the low-hanging fruit, you can pretty much get some very quick wins based on your product knowledge of what you've delivered before, and looking at a lot of the competition in different industries to work out what's going to work. Get a few of those under your belt, and they go, That's worked really well. We've seen some great traction on those. We're going to give you a bit more money in order to do something a bit more strategic moving forwards. And initial priorities, again, coming back to that technical and hack to get the quick wins out, but also you've got to maintain your vision as well. So you've got to be selling that vision while you drive these things so they understand the long and the short term what you're doing. So are startups or corporates better? So I've worked in both, so I thought I'd just give you some of my thoughts. So startups, the bridges are smaller, you have to build, right? I've been in 20-person teams where we're all in the same room, and those bridges are really quick. You can really galvanize and change the organization quickly. It's quicker to iterate, as I said. Roles are less defined, so you get more freedom. And then the corporates, they've got quite a bit of money, right? And they've got some established products already. They've already got growth. What you can do is skip that hockey stick, because they're already at the top of the hockey stick curve, and then you can just pivot them to a product direction and start adding to that scale even further. So I wouldn't say either is right or wrong. You've got different challenges for startups and corporates, and corporates are obviously people see them as more comfortable, but actually the challenges are larger within corporate organizations because you've got a lot of legacy and a lot of people that you need to deal with. You haven't just got this fresh canvas that you can just build out on top of. Right? So if you like complexity, you like challenges like me, I've gone into a big corporate with a big client base, and I'm trying to navigate how we can implement product into that organization. So what product team should what structure should your team take? I would say it completely depends. I'm going to completely sit on the fence. But the reason why I'm sitting on the fence is this is not down to me. This is down to you guys, if you were ever going to go and build a product team. And the reason why I say this is because absolutely every single product team is different in the way that every single product's different in its own way as well. So you need to understand the product maturity of the company, which I've already said, the digital maturity of your company, and then you need to learn everything about the products and define your vision before you've even started to think about how you can build out your product team. It doesn't need to be super detailed, but you need to start moving in that direction. So you've got a stick in the sand you can start working towards. And then you need to write down a list of everything to execute your strategy, because that will tell you as you start moving forward. And this isn't just you do it once and then you can forget about it. Constantly work on that list of things that you need to do on your strategy. Think about it as your backlog. And as you work forward, prioritize. And what you'll find is, as you just write down all the stuff you need to do, just group them into different areas. And this is one of the easiest things you can do in terms of hiring, right? Is you just write down, especially if you're really busy and you know you need to hire and you can't quite work out who you need to hire or what, write down everything you do on a piece of paper, and then just start grouping things together. And what you'll find that somebody comes out of there. You'll go, oh, I need a business analyst. I need a project manager. I need something else. Do the same, but on a grander scale. So that will help you be able to identify the roles that you've got and identify the team structure that you need to start building to execute. But also the prioritization needs to come back as well, which links into digital maturity, which links into the culture and the products. So you need to understand who you need to hire first. Do you need UX or UI? Because you might not have any front end yet. Right? You need a product manager, you need somebody else to build it. And, have you got a data science team? You might not have a data science team. Actually, it might sit under your remit and you never even knew, hell, I need to hire a data scientist. So think about some of the priorities as well as you move forwards. And then in summary, complexity depends on maturity. I'd say just look at the business first and understand the product set they've got. That's absolutely key and critical to what we want to do. And understand the influence, what can you influence? If it's, as I said before, if it's the whole culture of the organization, you might be biting off a bit more than you can chew. But if they're already steering towards a product, awesome, right? And then understand what you can work with and how you can build those products and what you can sell, how close to the customers you can get. I actually dress more corporate in the office for the simple reason that they won't let me near customers if I'm dressed down, because they all wear suits, which is fine. In a few months' time, I'm sure I'll be able to start dressing down a little bit and they'll understand how I can get close to customers, and that's still fine. I don't need to wear a three-piece suit and it's all right. But at the moment, I'm doing that because it's going to get me close to customers, and I don't mind that. I'll do what I need to do in order to be able to integrate product. And selling the product role is key, right? It's not just about going in there and doing product. You need to be evangelizing the role across the whole organization, telling them what the benefits it is. Obviously, then deliver as well. And last one, each team's business different. It's based on needs. And if you're ever coming in to do a head of product role and you're going to build it out, I've given you some pointers about how to do it. but you'll find so many more along the way as well. And the way that you have to influence people, and the way that you have to corral people to understand that, yes, data is the correct thing and the correct approach is key. Having seniority obviously helps in terms of being able to execute that strategy. So that's it. Hope you find it useful. Do I get questions as well?
I'm going to make some up.
Okay, fine. We'll go with that. Yeah, I'm happy.
But first off, thank you so much for jumping in last minute. Just so everyone knows, Joseph wasn't originally going to present today, but he volunteered, jumped in, and I think delivered in a fantastic way that really sums up being product-led. You actually have to have a team who can lead product, or nothing happens. So we do have one question here, as well as the one I'm going to make up. What product definition do you use to define the products?
Product definition. In terms of, I don't mind, is that anonymous? In terms of the definition, do you mean how I define a product within an organization? I don't mind if somebody wants to shout out if they've actually written that. If not, I'll take it. I define products within an organization as, because we're tech, right? It's something where I can add technical value to the customer interaction. That's it. So it could be in the case of, it might not be the actual transaction. So take land, for example. It won't be the land transaction where I potentially add value. It might be further on down. So when a customer approaches us and say, hey, I need land to build a new supermarket, we might be able to bring new tech platforms together with big data to be able to say, hey, this is where people walk past, this is where people are commuting, this is where you can get the best pound per square foot, what's the profit of your organization. We can factor all those things into the decision-making process, but later on down the transaction, I can't add much value, right? They're gonna stamp the contract. So I define products as anything where we can add technology into a customer interaction to provide benefit to the business. Might not be the end.
Next up, the product team often gets sandwiched between solutioning and roadmap management versus execution. Does it make sense to separate the project management aspect itself from the product management?
I think it depends how. Yes, it does in certain circumstances. I'll sit on the fence again. So if we're solutionizing and we're road mapping, when do you need to bring in road mapping? Road mapping is when you start reaching a scale where different either business lines or different departments start interacting together and have dependencies on each other. So if you're starting to roadmap and you want to separate out project management, I'd be looking at where those dependencies start growing to a critical mass, and you need to start having a project management structure in there in order to be able to smooth out delivery. Because ultimately you'll find so-and-so didn't do X, meant we couldn't do Y. And if that starts getting a big problem and your product managers can't talk to each other because they're too busy within their business area, bring in a project manager and they should be able to smooth that out for you. Okay? And that's what I'd say. I'd probably start with the product managers to start, and then I'd bring in projects a bit later.
You talked earlier about enabling to fail fast. What principles can you recommend people employ to do that?
Not spend too much money is a good one. So if I start spending lots of money, then the failing fast doesn't really work too much. So I would say that you need to bring on tools to be able to get feedback as soon as possible. So anything that you can in order to be able to evaluate and quickly measure what you're doing, fine. A lot of the times the businesses are amazed that you can test things and get such quick feedback. But we've recently just deployed a new site technology stack, and that allows us to be able to iterate quickly, whereas before we had a legacy system. So you need to get not just the top, but the whole technology stack ready. And then once that's ready and you can actually fail fast, the business normally understand that pretty well. So they're normally just like, oh wow, you tested that, it didn't work, we failed and we moved on. That's fine. Again, it comes a bit back to culture, but I'd say the tech stack and the rest of the organization needs to be aligned.
This question is very similar to what I was going to ask. What is the biggest challenge you've had so far trying to implement product into organizations?
Some organizations that didn't want product has been hard. I would say that just trying to conceptualize what product is and aligning the business to it, and defining KPIs and what success means to senior stakeholders and senior managers, that's actually harder than it sounds, because you need to align whole processes in order to make this and drive this within an organization. And that actually takes a lot of meetings, a lot of time, a lot of discussions. In terms of the actual challenges, I mean, things that just don't go wrong, right? Hires that just blow up, or it'll be, an organization, as I said, that doesn't want it, or there'll be something that goes horribly wrong with a product and people blame products. So anything, I mean, the block always stops with you. So yeah, there's lots of different stories, but that would be the main one.
I think these two questions are very much related in terms of change. You were talking about cultural change. Some of the techniques or things you've done to help drive that change from being either non-product to product or becoming more of a product-led organization. Can you speak to some of those things?
Sorry, say that one again.
Managing change in an organization, that cultural change, that shifting of a mindset. What are some of the successes or techniques that you've used to help?
Data is huge, right? Going into organizations where they don't have data. And you find this a lot with so many different organizations, even tech-driven organizations that don't look at the correct metrics and stats. You go in and the assumptions that people make as they drive the business forward, if you can turn around and say, actually, no, our age range of our business, of our customers is 25 to 30. And everyone's been looking at 40 to 50-year-olds, everyone. And you're like, yeah, but I've got the data, it's right here. There's a bit of, hold on a second, where'd you get that from? And kicking the tires. But as long as your data's correct, that changes the attitude straight away. Like, people will immediately just pivot on that. And that's just about sharing and pushing stuff out, right? It's about finding the correct medium to be able to do it, and not just saying it in a meeting. I'd document it, I'd write it down and say, guys, these are who our customers are, and I would share that widely and make sure everybody can see it. As soon as they can and it's irrefutable, done. Then people are already starting that cultural shift to be data-driven. And as long as you base most of your decisions off data, and you're implementing data systems and processes in the background, you're going to make that cultural shift happen.
I think we have time for one last one. Let's see. I'll make it your pick. Let's do the product in a traditional... Oh, wow. Okay, wait a minute. This is a skill testing activity on my part. Sales teams. So sometimes sales teams have tough times believing product-led initiatives. Usually they overreact to customer requests and short-term gains, like hijacking a roadmap. Any suggestions on how to deal with sales teams?
Can I skip on that one and just say that's covered by the last one? That's data again. I'll grab one, because there was one that said, if you left people behind. I think that's a very pertinent one, because some people feel really threatened when you bring in product. You're like, hey guys, this is product. We're going to do things in a different way. People are a bit scared and a bit worried. But what we do isn't rocket science, and it's our own cultural mindset of the way that we think about problems. And you just need everybody else to start thinking about problems. The only reason why someone might get left behind is because they don't have the mental capacity to be able to understand how to solve a problem in a product way. And they're actually few and far between. I could explain most of this stuff to my mum and she'd probably get it. So I would say that that's really about selling the role of product and making sure that everyone's following the same methodology that you are, and people will come along and help. There is training, right? You can always put people on training courses and help them out. And if they really, really don't like it, there's not much you can do. But typically we've seen that product-led organizations are pretty successful. So I'd stick to that. So in bringing it around and summarizing that point, not very many, as long as you try really hard to bring them along. And to be honest, product's pretty fun, so most people react pretty well. So it's good.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joseph.
Okay, thank you. Cheers.